Hello everyone, I'm GuardianSoulBlade and I'm here to talk about the Honkai Star Rail and Fate Stay Night collab. And yes, I know a lot of people are disappointed. I can't say I'm disappointed, but it was the worst possible outcome for it. It was that the collab story is just quote okay. And it being okay is not good when you are the biggest gacha company that makes the most money and you're the one that everybody knows. Your collab story should not be okay. And the issue I have with this is I have played other Fate collabs in other gacha. Fate Collab or Prisma Illya had a collab with a game called Grand Summoners. It's a 2D pixel game. And their collab story blew Star Rails out of the water. It's not the exact same franchise. Fate Collab or Prisma Illya is the Magical Girl parody anime, but they still had a better collab story than Honkai Star Rail, and nobody on Global plays Grand Summoners, but they had way more characters. They had 6 characters, and I was blessed to roll 5 of 6 of them the first time. But I already knew that collab was coming because I played it on the Japanese server, so I knew to prepare for it in Global for Grand Summoners. And I've played both Prisma Illya collabs, and those stories were fun. And I don't even read Grand Summoner's story at all. I should, so I know what's going on, but I don't care about that story. But the collab story was really fun, and they had good interactions with the Grand Summoners characters, and we got Shiro, and we got Rin, and we got a bunch of the Prisma Illya characters. We got 6, and that's amazing. But it's really hard to roll in Grand Summoners because their pity is so high. But Shiro was amazing. He's still at the top of their tier list for that game, and that's nuts. And he's been out for years now in Grand Summoners, but he's limited, so you can only get him when the collab pops up. But for Honkai Star Rail, their story was just okay, and being okay isn't good enough when I read Fate Grand Order, and Fate Grand Order has my favorite stories. It has the best writing for a gacha. Even their worst arc is still like, it's meh, but at least you can see they had a good idea. They had good ideas, but they didn't execute them well at all, and that seems to happen to Honkai Star Rail. And now I have to talk about Saber, because Saber's my baby, and Saber and Shiro are both my babies. I've chased them both across multiple gachas. I've got them on 2 FGL accounts. I've got them both in Grand Summoners, and the thing about it is, Unlimited Blade Works is not Saber's route. She is still very, very important and a huge part of that route, but it's Rin Tosaka's route. Her and Shiro. That's their route. That's their romance story. And Rin is not an HSR. And I know that Saber does talk about her past in Unlimited Blade Works, but the Saber section felt like it came straight out of the Fate route instead. And we are not doing a Fate route collab. If they wanted to do like more of a Fate collab that was mainly about Saber, they could have just said they were collabing with the visual novel Fate Stay Night in general, because then you could do something from all 3 routes. But even though Dean has an anime, they don't use that one to collab. They use Unlimited Blade Works and Heaven's Feel because Ufotable made them look so good. So the Fate route never gets collabs. So for this to feel more like the Fate route than Unlimited Blade Works is just weird. And the story was alright. It wasn't like amazing or anything. The reason Castor's not there is, well, her Seiyu died. And when the Seiyu dies for Japan, they just don't use that character, like they don't make a new version of them. They might replace the Seiyu later, but that takes a while. They don't just keep using the character for the Seiyu's dead. But for me, the collab felt like somebody's disjointed fanfic, and it had good moments, but it wasn't consistent, and that's something I've noticed a lot in Honkai Star Rail is it has good moments, but the pacing is so bad. It feels like it takes forever to do anything story-wise in the game, and I find that kind of annoying when I can read Fate Grand Order or Heaven Burns Red for 6 hours straight and not feel bored. But it feels like a chore going through Honkai Star Rail's story. And I'm on the supposedly good stuff right now in Penacony, but it just feels like stuff is too long, and I understand why people really wanted that skip button. Like, I don't mind, but for the Fate collab, it was just okay when it needed to be great. And the fact that Honkai Star Rail has been beaten collab story-wise by Grand Summoners, a 2D pixel game that literally nobody plays. The fact that their Fate collabs were amazingly fun and had really good writing by comparison is just sad. But the Cali Liner Prisma Illya collabs, I think they're written by the mangaka, so they have a better grasp of the characters. And what Honkai Star Rail should have done is asked an FGO writer to do a guest writing for the collab, because FGO, even at its worst, is still better than Honkai Star Rail's collab, and that's just sad. And I know people are saying that they weren't down for the Yap Fest, but these are the people who wouldn't survive the upcoming summer event we have in FGO, which is actually written by Nasu, because he won't let anybody else write Lost About 6 stuff but him. And he is writing the collab I'm going to be reading this summer, and it's going to be fun. And I love Fate's writing because it's so fun. And the collab had moments of feeling like that, but they couldn't keep it. The silent movie bit went on too long and it got annoying, and that's a commonly shared opinion among fans who did the collab and didn't skip. But like, I liked the Fate references, but I'm already a fan. I know these references. I was really surprised about the Evil God Satyr reference, and that's a very old reference to a Chinese bootleg of Saber that came out when the Dean anime was super popular. And most fans don't know that one unless you're really deep into Fate lore or you love Saber in general. But for me, the story was alright when it needed to be great, and it's not the worst story I've read. That still goes to Agartha and Septem in FGO. Septem mainly because I completely forgot that plot after it was over, but the collab needed to be so much better than it was. And when you're getting pwned by a 2D Pixel Games collab with a similar property by Type Moon, and they just did everything better than the multi-billion-dollar gacha company, that's a problem. Now, when it comes to the characters, their kits are great. Their kits are fantastic. But the story that's supposed to get people interested in reading or watching Fate Stay Night didn't cut it for me as a Fate fan. And even if I wasn't a fan, I don't know if I would have checked out the anime if this was my first exposure to Fate, because the story was eh. And when Type Moon is amazing, I can listen to Nasu talk and write for hours. I have streamed Fate Grand Order for hours, and I've read entire Lost Belt in hours on stream, and I'm gonna get back into doing that because I need to finish Lost Belt 6 because it's a Nasu's magnum opus, and I'm right there in it, and I just need to sit down and read. But for me, as a Fate fan, this did not cut it story-wise. Kit-wise, perfect. Kit-wise, they're amazing. But story-wise, they needed to hire an actual Fate writer. Not necessarily Nasu, because he's working on Tsukihime remake right now, and so we are waiting around for him for that. It's been 5 years in Japan since Tsukihime remake A Piece of Blue Glass Moon came out, and so Japanese fans are waiting for that. And I'm looking forward to reading the summer event in Fate Grand Order because he's writing it. It's going to be amazing and long, which I'm prepared for anyway. But I love his writing, and it's just so good. And to see what they made compared to what he does is just sad. And I'm actually going to play a clip of the FGO drama log they made for Lost Belt 6, because I will let you see his writing and see why I love Fate and why this collab didn't cut it.
ャメロット正門に配置された清掃12門、あれが起動できればケルヌンノスは倒される。これはそのための戦いだった。俺たちの役割はここでケルヌンノスを押しとどめ、聖剣の守護者を玉座に送り届けることだ。それはもう果たされた。あとはここで旅の終わりを見届けるだけだ。
いません。アルトリアさんの姿ありません。いつの間にか甲板から消えていて。
キャメロットは死の城になっていた。残された時間は少ない。以前の自分なら無理と別の手段を模索していただろう。選定の場から戻った自分はもう以前の自分ではない。半分以上空想の存在だ。
世界の中心にいるんじゃなくて、その端っこ、最果ての灯台でどんな時の終わりだろうと。
息が詰まるその姿のまがまがしさ、その無言の意味に萎縮する。厄災は憎しみによるものではなかった。怒りと嘆きによる責務だった。
それでもやっぱりあなたは間違えているのです。ブリテンが罪人たちの国だというのなら、全てがそうだと決めたのなら、罰を与えるだけでなく罪を許すシステムを、罪人たちが許される時を決めるべきでした。
玉座に意識をつなげる。
すごい、本当に天才だったんだ。
彼女の思考にあったのは焦りではなくモルガンへの賛美だった。まさに神域の天才。問題はこの仕組みはその天才が使うことを前提に作られているということで、
でもこれなら。
今度は逃げない。いけると彼女は確信した。ロンゴミニアド蒼天ラウンドランス12期並列抜病対厄災大儀式開門。救世の槍よ、罪を流すオークニーの雨となれ。
全部ここにいる私、ここにいた私、全部を出し切るんだ。そのためにここまで来たんだ。使用魔力をキャメロットからアバロン・ルフェリ、ロンゴミニアドからエクスカリバーへ変装。私はあなたに勝てなかった。最後まで勝てなかった。力で自分を示すこ ことも言い返すこともできなかった。でもチャンスが与えられた。最後の最後、体に残された最後の魔力、そのありったけを使って自分が何者なのかを示す機会が。私は理想の私にはなれなかったよ。だとしてもここで並んでみせる。この玉座を守り続けた無慈悲な女王ではなく、偉大な尊敬されるべき救世主、その人生に報いるために。2000年前にあなたがやるべきだった仕事を果たしてみせる。聖剣抜刀、最新よ、我らが罪を許したまえ。
後に残ったものは一つだけ。鉄の玉座には役目を終えた宿り木の杖が剣のように置かれていた。
Because the story's so good and it's so much fun and I love it. And when you're introduced to Fate and this is your first thing, this is not at all a great impression. So I'm sorry to non-Fate fans if this was your first impression of Fate Stay Night. Just go watch the anime or read the visual novel. It's on Steam right now. You'll be able to read Saber's route first and then go into Unlimited Blade Works, or you can watch the anime. But this is not a good first impression of Fate story-wise if that's what you're looking. If you should get into Fate because of the story. You should get into Fate because of Nasu's story, not because of HSR's story. And they tried really hard to have a neat concept, but it just didn't execute very well, which seems to be a problem of theirs. And pacing. And I'm saying this because I'm in Penacony, the supposed peak, and it's just, it takes too long to do anything in the story. It feels like the plot's going somewhere, but it goes so slow, I don't care. And I don't really like a lot of the characters. Adventuring's just a jerk, and I find him kind of annoying. I don't like a lot of characters outside of the Bellowbog crew. The Lofu is kind of forgettable, but the Astral Express crew, I like them, but I'm around those characters all the time, so they're cool. But for me, the Fate collab, it was just okay. And it could have been so much better, and they had a year to prep for this, but I know that they work on stuff for like 3 months, but the reused assets don't bother me, because I know why they do that, because it's just easier. But what bothers me is that they pulled from a route that is not part of the collab, and focused on Saber when it's not her route, and they didn't bring Shiro and Rin, and they could have, because in Grand Summoners, the crew just gets isekai'd because they get summoned to the world of Grand Summoners by their magic in Grand Summoners, so that explains how they get there, and they go home after the collab story is over, and they got a part 2, so they got to go back, and so they could have just hand-waved it with, oh, Shiro and Rin get isekai'd, and they're Hira's NPCs, so we still get to see them and interact with them. But no, they didn't bring them there. And the setting's kind of hard because this is hard sci-fi, and Fate Stay Night is an urban fantasy and not so much sci-fi. But the way they did this was just weird. And I know that the Hoyoverse staff loves Fate, and they put a lot of love into it, but then they messed up Saber's activation alt line, and I'm going to show that here.
この明かりは星の希望、地を照らす命の証。見るがいい。エクスカリバー。
こちらの話です。
それがあなたの決断であれば
いいですね。お任せよ。
束ねるの星の息吹、輝ける命の本流。受けるがいい。エクスカリバ
ー! Because I have her in Fate Grand Order. I'm a very proud owner of an NP4 Saber. I'm going to get her last copy free next year when they give that away. So I'll have her as maxed as her power will let me, other than the 120 that I have to do. But for me, it was just an okay collab. But yeah, I'll show the clip of the activation in FGO and the activation lines in HSR. And for me, I understand why people were disappointed. I wasn't like super disappointed, but I wish it was a lot better than how it turned out. And for me, I wish it was better, because both of us, both HSR fans and Fate Stay Night fans, deserve a lot better than what we got. And I knew it wasn't going to be as good when I found out Nasu was just supervising. Because when Nasu writes, you feel his writing. You get whoever you're reading about. You understand them. And you understand how they think, how they feel, what's going on. He will dive into a lot of world building. And he is long-winded, but it's really fun to read, and I like it a lot, and that's why Fate is some of my favorite visual novels to read, and why my Gotcha story standard is very high, because I've read stuff by him in Fate Grand Order. The Seraph event is amazing, and the Camelot Singularity is awesome, Babylonia is great, and Avalon LaFay is great from what I've read. I need to read more. But for me, this was just okay, and I wish it was not just okay. I wish it was great. But they've been beat out by a 2D pixel game, which had a collab with Fate Kelly Viner, Prisma Illya, and literally nobody on Global plays Grand Summoners, but it blew Honkai Star Rail out of the water with the collab story alone. Not to mention the 6 units we got that are all high tier in their tier list. And Shiro is so high that he has never fallen off his top tier spot in the Grand Summoners tier list years later, and that's kind of nuts. But for me, I agree with my fellow Fate fans that this was disappointing. I wasn't as disappointed as everybody else, but I get where everybody's coming from. And especially since people have been waiting for this for a year. And the DMC5 collab in Punishing Grey Raven, I've seen it on CN, and it's going to be amazing. It'll make this look really, really sad by comparison, because Kuro Games put so much into the characters and so much into the story, and they did a great job with that collab from what I've seen. I'm getting ready to experience it on the global server. But for me, as a Fate fan, we deserved a lot better. But, you know, Hoyoverse decided to put their efforts into the kit and the marketing, and they didn't put it into like translation of Saber's lines. Her activation line is completely mistranslated, and I show that in the video. And the the story could have been so much better if they actually tried harder. I mean, they could have hired an FGO writer and it would have been easy to do and be like, hey, write the Fate collab for us and we'll put you as a guest writer. And it would have been a whole lot better than what they did. And I know Caster was changed, but the Seiyu died, like I said. And they needed to use some Penacony original servants. So that was fine. That didn't bother me that much. The silent movie part was too long. And everyone's wondering why Scott is here, but he's a stand-in for the obnoxious Shinji Mato, and that's fine. But Unlimited Blade Works is an imperfect route because Shinji's not dead. And when Shinji dies, the routes are always good. And the story itself could have been so much better than what we got. And I wish that they would have let somebody else write it, because they just can't do Fate. It felt like a disjointed fanfic, and it felt like what people try to write when they do crossovers for fanfic, and a fanfic would probably be better at this point. But for me, I'm happy to get Saber. I'm on my way to E6S1 Saber. I only need one more copy of her, so I'm going to get that, and then I'll decide what I'm going to roll for later. But for me, the collab was just okay, and while I'm not as disappointed as everybody else, I understand everybody else's frustration because they focused on the wrong character. They didn't bring characters that people wanted to see, even as NPCs, by the way, and they just didn't execute well on an interesting premise of a holy grail war in a world where there's no mana and no magic. But like, it had some great ideas it didn't execute well on, and it was just okay. And it had great moments, but that was it. Just great moments. They couldn't keep it going. And for Lost Belt 6, it's already bonkers, and I'm in the early parts of Lost Belt 6, and I haven't even gotten that far, and it's already bonkers for Fate Grand Order. And it's just, when I'm used to amazing writing, and then I have to read that, it's just not cutting it for any Fate fan. And if anyone's saying it's peak, they're lying, because it's not peak. I don't agree that it's completely mid, but I can see where the mid opinion comes from, or just bad. But I liked it, but I don't love it, and I can't say it was great. It was just okay. It wasn't even what I call good. And even Fate Extra Record, which is its own little train wreck that Nasu wrote when he was just going crazy with Fate Extra stuff, that was better than this, and that's kind of sad because Fate Extra Last Encore is kind of a wreck when it comes to the anime. So when the crazy Fate Extra anime is better than the Penacony collab for HSR and Fate Stay Night, that's a problem. And that's Nasu going bonkers with Fate Extra Last Encore, but still, I mean, this could have been a lot better than how it turned out, especially since I've read other collabs that handled the characters and the character interactions with the game characters so much better. It's just sad. And I'm going to put some Prisma Illya story footage in here because it was so much better. And that's kind of sad that the game that nobody plays had a better collab than the game that like everybody plays when it comes to gacha. But that's all I have to say. I just wish it was better. But I'm so happy to have Saber and Archer. That's what I like. I like having them here. I can play HSR forever because they're here. But the story should have been a whole lot better. I think they should have gotten a better writer to handle the premise. Because the premise is good, but the execution was bad. And they needed better writing for the execution of how this turned out. Because the silent film part was way too long and way too annoying. And Scott was the Shinji stand-in, and he was there a little bit too much, in my opinion. And I liked the story, but I didn't love it, and it deserved to be a lot better. And, well, that's all I gotta say. I will see you all later, and until then, have a good day or night wherever you are, and goodbye.